Hey everybody, it's your buddy Thor and Dude Man over there. I am just jumping in, do a quick little checkup. I have a new birth certificate video that I did, and painfully enough, the audio, I'm having a little technological issue. The audio did not work. So hour and 10-minute presentation down the toilet. So I'm just going to simply check in real quick and first of all talk about, somebody brought up the video that was taken down where I showed people how to amend a CVID test contract if you have to take one. And unfortunately, in the entertainment business, we are being here comes Street Sweeper, right on time. We are being beat into submission to do these tests, which obviously I loathe. I'm not okay with it at all, but I'm trying to get as much work that is available until they close things down to people who won't get the vaccination. And that is on the way. If you don't think it is, just let me tell you right now, it is on the way. The way around it, I can't be certain, but if you want to do business with a commercial entity, then you may have to, again, it's considered like a small club. So if you want to be part of that club, you have to abide by the club's rules. That's international law. That's international law. So, just like the U.S. corporation, if you consider yourself a citizen of the United States, I don't mean America. American national is different. A non-citizen national is totally different. Okay, that's why in Anderson's Law Dictionary, there is a definition for natural person and artificial person. So what is an artificial person? And I know most of the idiots out there will probably say something along the lines of, well, they're talking about artificial intelligence. No, they're not talking about it. They said artificial person. And if you look up the definition of artificial person, 99% of people are functioning under an artificial person when they are actually supposed to be a natural person. But you have to tell the world who you are. And right now, through contract, you have told everybody you're an artificial person. So you have to uncontract and let people know that you are a natural person. Just like I tell people, it's kind of like if there's a murder that takes place and they captured the real murderer, but you come along and you say, hey, I'm the one that committed the murder. It was me. I'm the one that did it. Do you think the murderer is going to tell you that he actually was the one that did it? No, he's going to let you, because it benefits him. So he's going to let you claim whatever you want. And the judge is, what's he going to say? He's going to be like, hey, they're claiming that they're the one that did the crime. So, all right, we'll let them attach themselves to it. That's the same thing that they've done with the artificial person. Is through contract, when you were born, your parents signed you into being an artificial person. And until you uncontract with it, and plus people keep telling everyone when they fill out their passport, they claim to be an artificial person. When they fill out an LLC, they claim to be an artificial person. When you fill out a driver's license, you claim to be an artificial person. You keep claiming and contracting and claiming and contracting and claiming and contracting. There's no reason anyone would ever think that you were anything other than an artificial person. So it's important to stop identifying as an artificial person, know who you are, and most people won't do that. Even the truth community here, the majority of the truth community bypasses this important part of life because they're like, well, let's just get along to get along, and we'll just keep learning about truth that doesn't matter. Like shit like the mud flood in how did they put together the coral castles with one man lifting multi-ton stones? I mean, I know they have secret technology we don't know about. Those UFOs, they're unidentified, flying objects. They're ours. They belong to humans made them. It's not alien technology. And I'm into all the technology. I love learning about new, conspiracies that they have perpetrated. Even some theories. I'm open to listening to some theories. That stuff is fun, but what actually affects me as a person is learning how law works and learning how I am contracting into a life of slavery when there are other options. Okay, I'm still waiting for my forms from the IRS. I have forms coming, the 1099 A, B's, and C's. I'm learning my A, B's, and C's, like the legitimate A, B's, and C's, not the alphabet. Otherwise, they would have said learn your alphabet, but they didn't. They said learn your ABCs, just like they always said family comes first. What does family comes first mean? Most people hate their families. So why does it matter if the family comes first? Well, it matters because your family name should be first always. It is the surname. That means superior, above. Okay, so you should be, my name's, given name is Ryan. My last name, I don't have a last name, Well, what is that other identifier? That's my family name. So Thor is my family name. So that's my surname. So that's the superior name. So I am Mr. Thor, and Mr. is abbreviated for master. At the age of 25, you are supposed to become master of your own affairs. Most people are not, though. Most people let the state remain master of their affairs, which is why they allow them to call them by their given name as their first name. It's not that way. Your family name is always the first name. And in fact, you shouldn't even be using your family name for the most part, only in specific lawful identifying. Otherwise you just go by your first name. Okay. And then until you're dead, or if somebody's trying to look for you and there's a million Ryans out there, maybe they need to know which family you come from. Oh, you come from the family Thor. Okay, that's going to help us. And then you have the second identifier that they would call a middle name, which is actually going to be your last name. So for me, I would write and identify as Mr. Thor, Master Thor, comma, Ryan Michael. So that's the way that you say the whole thing. But what they've done is they bastardize it, turn it around. Okay, they turned it backwards, and then they made a corporation out of that. They made an artificial person. So until you understand that and you come out of that whole process, you are going to be a slave. And eventually they're going to attach their statutes and codes and try to make you do stuff like get a vaccination. Okay, my neighbor works on, I guess I can say Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And it looks like Andy Samberg has told everybody on the set that they're not going back to work until everyone gets the jab. And you can't come back unless you've been jabbed. Unless you've had a vaccination, you can't come back to work. So this kind of stuff is really happening. And just like with the mask, I encourage everybody to stand their ground as much as they can with the mask. You're going to run into places, though, that they're just not going to serve you, and there's nothing you can do. Like, you can stand there and wait for the cops to be called. The cops are not, again, people don't understand. The police are policy enforcers. They're there for the corporation. They are a private corporation hired by the city of corporation to protect the business interest of the corporations. So if they tell you to leave and you don't leave, they'll take you to jail. Just like there was a girl that was part of the Healthy Americans who just went to jail. And, you can do that, but I think it's kind of a stupid waste of time because you're not going to change that. The only thing you're going to change is yourself and maybe the immediate people around you. And again, this is where I get into the common law and understanding who I am and that there are other remedies like the 1099 A, B's, and C's. So I have my mine on the way. The IRS is telling me that my forms are delayed. Apparently all the trees got COVID, and I don't know. So I'm waiting for those forms so I can start, trying some of these processes so that I'll be able to share it with you. And those of you that are interested in learning how to be free and how to use your American rights to have a little bit more freedom financially, because as they shut this economy down, it's not like they're we don't want to work. It's they're taking our ability to make money away. So if we have an opportunity to be able to acquire things and discharge debt of other things, it would take a lot of pressure off of our lives. And then it goes a step further. So I think it's very important that we learn how to do these processes. And I'm going to share my experiences with people. Okay, so sorry, my screen just went off. I had to turn it back on. So I'm going to share my experiences with people, and yeah. So anyway, amending your contract. That's right. So you get this CVID contract, right? And on the CVID contract, it has a little box on there where it says we can archive your genetic sample, we can test with your genetic sample, we can do what we want with your genetic sample. Is that okay? And you got to make sure that you cross that out, right? Void through it. You can amend any contract. Doesn't matter if it's a contract with the IRS, a contract with the corporation of the United States government, city government, anybody, your neighbor, whoever it is. If they give you a contract and there's something, a word or something like that you want to change, you cross it out, you write it in, and you get both of you to agree on it. If the other party accepts it, it's a contract. So same thing with this genetic testing, okay? They say they're testing for COVID. You don't have to fill it out the way it's given to you. I didn't. Just like I changed it to oral swab, not nasal. Don't let them put that thing up your nose. These are special Q-tips made specifically for this fake-demic. So I don't trust those Q-tips any farther than they go up my nose. So I wouldn't let them put that up your nose. I don't even really want to put them in my mouth, but again, it's the least of the deadly things I can see right now to be able to get a few more jobs before everything that I've worked this far for goes bye-bye, which I'm getting used to. You know, I got used to, you know, my little buddy dude, man, had one eye go blind, then the other eye go blind. So little by little, I got used to that. It's just the way life happens. Now we got to wear masks. I kind of got used to the fact that everybody around me has a mask on. It's so bizarre. And then now people are going to be getting the vaccinations. My cousin got it. She was sick. She's a respiratory therapist. She was told she had to get it. But now I have other people in my circle who's a nurse, and she told the hospital, no way, I'm not doing that, no way. And they've had doctors come and talk to her and try to sweet talk her into getting the vaccination. Well, you know, it'd be really good if you get the vaccination. And she said, no. And the way to do it is to put the liability back onto the hospital or your work or wherever it is and say, you know what, I'd be happy to do it, but you guys have to sign a contract saying you will take 100% liability if anything goes wrong. Watch how fast they turn their story. They will not take liability. They will not. And in fact, most contracts that they're going to give you to sign excuses them from liability if you take the vaccination. So it's very important. Again, reading contracts and reading comprehension just on general is so important. So many people have lost that skill if they ever had it. Okay, I just got in a tiff with my roommate because the reading comprehension is just not there. Like, if you start to read something and you don't understand a quarter of the way through, people just get frustrated and go, well, I don't get it. Instead of, you know what, let's start over again. Let's see let's just read the whole thing through and then go over, read the whole thing through again. Is it making any more sense? Let's put everything together. Okay, and then if you need a little help, then you can ask, you know, but what happens is most people, just like when I'm having a conversation with somebody in person, I'll start to say a thought, right? And maybe my thought is 3 sentences long. I'll get halfway through the first sentence and somebody's already blah, 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 already responding and like just a total, you know, irrational response. Nothing that has to do with my total thought. And that's because they cut me off, and because I took a breath. Me taking a breath apparently means, and now I have to interject, you know, when the truth is we should all be taking a breath and just chilling out, stay back here, let them say the whole thing, especially when they're saying something that you immediately feel a red flag go up in the back. Like suddenly you're concerned and you want to say something and respond something. That people say all kinds of shit all the time about what they believe, you know, this virus and everything to be. And I immediately want to jump in with, like, when they go, well, the stats say this, that, and the other, and I say statistician is only as good as, or I'm sorry, the stats are only as good as a statistician. You know what I mean? Hitler had statisticians, nurses, doctors, right? Did they all do the right thing? So that's what I want to say to them, but I have to restrain myself. So I let them get their entire thought out. Even if I think the whole thing is a bunch of bullshit, I have to let them get their whole thought out. Otherwise, I am being a poor listener, a poor communicator, and just not a very good person in general, okay? Because even no matter what they think, it is polite of me to let them get their thought out. I don't have to talk to them the next time, you know what I mean? But this one interaction, I need to hear their entire thought. I should be polite, and then I can respond if I can respond, but usually they'll cut me off before I ever get to respond. And in that case, you say, okay, all right, no problem. And then you go about your business and you just don't ever talk to that person, you know, or keep it really short. Like, hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I gotta go. I got something burning, you know? But most people are not good listeners. You know, they're just awful listeners, and their reading comprehension is just as poor as well. And I would encourage everybody to really practice that, you know, just practice listening to someone all the way through. Don't be like on the edge of your seat, ready to comment, you know, I can't wait till they get done because I need to get in there and say what I'm going to say because I'm thinking about what I want to say instead of listening to what this person is saying. If I was listening, then I might save a whole bunch of time for both of us, and I might learn something at the same time. So anyway, I digress. Like I said, we got into a little something earlier because I was trying to work through why there was, so I'll tell you real quick, there was just a name of a website called ifilters.com. And I wrote out IF, and you know how a lowercase I has the line and then a dot above it. Well, I missed the dot above it, so it was just a small little line. And then LTER, right? ifilter.com. And because I'm redoing her reverse osmosis system, right? So you'd think I've already been on the phone for an hour, you know, with the guy trying to figure out everything I need to make this work for her because she didn't use it for 2 years. And because it didn't have that little dot up there, she read it as if. Instead of I filters, just if dot. And that was it. That was where her brain shut off. And I say it kind of quiet because I don't want her to hear. But it's amazing how the brain just shuts, like that's it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can't figure it out. So when I got home, immediately just boom, like, hey, what is this? You know, it doesn't work. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't work? And she's like, if. It doesn't work. I don't know what to put in there. And I'm like, if? What are you talking about, if? I'm like, there's more letters in there than if. And she said, yeah, well, there's a period there. And I'm like, ugh. Why don't you just, let's imagine I didn't have any letter in there at all. Just F blank LTERS. Like, I mean, God, give me patience. So I said, well, what are we replacing? And she's like, filters. I said, yes. So if we're replacing filters, what does that say? And she's like, IF. And I'm like, the rest of it. You just said the word. I said, what are we replacing? She's like, filters. I said, yes, okay. So what's it say? I. And she's like, you always do this to me. You can't just give me an answer and blah, blah. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm trying to help people learn how to think a little bit, and they don't want to learn. They don't. Give me the answer now or fuck off. And, you know, so then I got pissy because I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you're getting mad at me because I'm trying to help you comprehend what it is you're doing? You just said the word 3 times. What's the word you just said? Put that in the blank. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you're not listening because now you're upset. I said, you know, I'm trying to help you. I can give you the answer, but it's just going to be the same thing over and over and over. Or you can try to start learning a little bit better. So, big fail. Didn't work. But after I told her what it was, and she's like, well, that's just a dot. I said, even if there was nothing there, you can't put together that we're getting a filter and that's the word filter. Like, I didn't say that, but I just cut my losses. So anyway, I just share my experience, you know. We're all human. We all deal with other humans, but there is a communication gap like nothing else, and like nobody's business. They have learned to dumb down the communication skills of one another, make everything so fast and everything so. I make it a point to literally listen to people all the way through. I really try not to cut anyone off because I don't want it done to me. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Right, dude, man? So anyway, I digress a little bit, but that just, popped into my head. And so the main thing I wanted to come across was the mask thing. I had a mask issue this morning. And so what I did, and I encourage all of you to do, is to print out, if it's a private business, and by private, I mean if it's a small, little tiny individual or a couple people owned, it's anything that's registered LLC is not private. It's immediately public, okay? So no matter what people tell you, it's not private, it's public, okay? If it's unregistered, it's private, okay? That's it. That's the way it works. If you register and you do an LLC, it is a public entity. Somebody was busting my balls about not having a mask, okay? And this is, my friend owns this coffee shop here in Santa Monica. And Santa Monica is full of mask holes. Okay, so she's like, you should really do your part as a good citizen, put a mask on, and I'm like, I would never do that to myself. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to tell me what I should do, though. I do appreciate that. And then the manager was like, oh boy, she's gonna call. I know she's gonna call. She called last time, so apparently she's called before. So what I do for those businesses is I went and I printed out the state guidelines, because on the state guidelines there are 8 exemptions. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exemptions. And in those exemptions, I qualified for 2 of them. And I'll tell you right now, it says if you have any medical issues that would prevent you from wearing a mask, we all do. We all need to breathe unobstructed. That is a medical issue. You must breathe unobstructed. Okay, any restriction of breath, okay, limits the amount of oxygen you're getting, and we're already getting less oxygen because of the toxins in the air. Okay, so we're already oxygen deprived as much as we should be. And then a lot of people don't get the proper exercise and stretching they need, which help oxygenate their body more. So we're already oxygen deprived. So last thing you want to do is put something that's going to restrict your flow, even for a matter of minutes, maybe for a minute or 2 if you really have to. And that's why I say, like, don't fight with the big corporations. If they're not going to give you what it is you're needing, then go and put it on for a couple minutes, run and do what you do, and then get out. You're going to have to, unfortunately, I feel that they're allowed to do what they want to do, just like I want to do what I want to do. I don't want anyone, as a private individual, an American of the land, I don't want anybody telling me that I have to do something because of a statute or a code, okay? Now, those corporations have opted into that, okay? However, me, again, on the outside of that public system, I can't then tell the public system what it is they're supposed to do. You have to serve me. No. I'm not in that public system anymore. I can't tell them what to do. And even if you are in the public system, you still don't want them telling you what to do, even though you're in the public system. And they can, by statute and code, tell you what to do. But so I just don't think it's worth battling them as much as some people. Like I said, there was a girl who went to jail for, her and another lady went to jail. And the other lady had 2 kids with her. So I guess the kids had to spend them, I don't know, maybe they called it some family or something, but I think it was irresponsible of her to bring her kids in there and try to go to war like that, because this corrupt system, you're fighting a losing battle there, okay? There are other ways for you to gain your freedoms, and just don't use those corporations anymore, you know what I mean? I think it was at a CVS or something. Don't go there anymore. That's it. Or just go get what you need and get out. Those guys were shopping. And she's got multiple videos of her in CVS. I don't know what it is with her in CVS, but she's in CVS a lot. And it's almost like she keeps just poking. You poke the tiger enough times, that tiger's going to take a bite out of your ass, So she's got other videos of her in CVS saying, well, I'm just here shopping. And I don't know. I've never been just shopping at CVS. Like, I get in, I get whatever the heck I need, and I get out. So So who knows? But what I would say is, if it is a smaller business that's owned by a friend, or you can have a conversation with the owner, you can take them the state guidelines where they have the exemptions. Now in California, there's 7 exemptions. I imagine there's probably equal amount of exemptions in every other state, okay? Because the state guidelines, and then you have the city guidelines, which are modeled after the county guidelines, and the county guidelines are modeled after the state guidelines. So it inevitably all goes back to the state guidelines. But even the county guidelines have 4 exemptions on there, okay? Which still include whoever provides your medical needs, which is you, you're responsible. If your medical provider tells you not to wear a mask, don't wear one. You are the medical provider, so you don't have to wear a mask, okay? And again, that's thinking from a public standpoint, statutes and codes and how to navigate that. It's not a loophole. You have to read the language. The language made it very, very clear for us that they will often use the word public. The public. And they're very specific on that language too. When they say the public, they're talking about the artificial person, okay? You're not the artificial person unless you contract, and most people are. Most people have contracted. Most people don't know that they're not the artificial person. So if you don't know you're not the artificial person, then, it makes sense why everybody is going along with the whole scam. So that being said, it is really crucial that people start taking the time to learn that they are not their Social Security person, which is the artificial person. And again, I would download an Anderson's dictionary. It was very inexpensive for me to get a dictionary. Anderson's, I can't remember, and then I also got a Latin dictionary. So get a Latin dictionary too, because a lot of these words are rooted in the Latin language, which is a dead, finite language. So there's no trickery of the words anymore. The words are set in stone. And that's why we get many of our words from the Latin words, because it's a dead language, and which is better. It's better than a living language. Changes all the time, and they mix things up all the time. That's why it's so confusing in court. Because they can use one word that means 3 different things. And in a court of commercial equity, they get to choose whichever meaning they want, unless you specifically tell them, no, this is the meaning that is, with my understanding, is this meaning, or overstanding, I should say. We got to define what meaning is. And by the way, that's another thing. People need to learn how to do their paperwork properly, so you don't ever go to court. Ideally, you should never even have to step foot in that court if you do your paperwork properly, which is another thing I'm going through right now. I've been a year into this traffic case right now, and it's been going back and forth with paperwork. So I have pointed out that there are many Supreme Court cases that have been decided that traveling is a right of the American of the land, and that the police have only the authority to regulate interstate commerce. So if you're using the highway or the roadway for hire to make a profit, then that is commerce, interstate commerce. Okay, that is commercial. So but if you're just a man, using the right of way with your automobile, then you are not conducting commerce, and therefore they have no right to pull you over at all. That arbitrary speed limit that they pick does not apply to you. Okay, as long as you're not hurting anybody or anybody else, or doing something stupidly dangerous. If you're following God's law, which is respect everybody, and respect doesn't mean doing what they tell you either. Just respect them like you would respect yourself, okay? And I say that because everybody says, you have no respect, that's why you're not wearing a mask. And that's not it at all. So I don't say respect is in bend over. I'm just saying, when you're on the road, respect, don't drive unsafe. If you're driving unsafe, then you're setting up a potentially dangerous situation. And then I think, I don't think they have the right to pull you over, but if you get pulled over, tough shit, that's what you get for being a douchebag. But hopefully, I wasn't, I was speeding according to their arbitrary, and I say arbitrary line or arbitrary number because, They've never done a study on, if we have the speed limit at 55 and then people are going 65, 30% more people, are in accidents or stuff like that. They've never done any type of study. There's no science behind it. They just went, you know what? All in favor of raising the speed limit on a desert highway with few people on it to a ridiculously low number so that we can get more tickets written. Raise your hand, and then all their buddies raise their hand. So, there's no, we didn't vote for that. You know what I mean? The people didn't vote for that. And, so anyway, it doesn't apply to you. According to many Supreme Court, I filed a 32-page memorandum of law, 32 pages with Supreme Court, case law in there. It's been ruled on many times that we are not beholden to the state trooper pulling us over because of a statute or a code. Okay, only if it's a mens rea crime, if we're committing a crime. Okay. Furthermore, we need to, in the future, dissolve that contract with the driver's license. You don't have to have a driver's license. A driver's license is a commercial license. That's why all the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, they don't have to get a special license in order to conduct commercial commerce on the road and be for hire, because the license they hold is already a commercial license. So us as the individual, we are not supposed to be doing that. So anyway, that's a whole nother video for another time. But I want people to start printing out their papers with the exemptions, take them in because they're following the guidelines. They should follow all the guidelines, not just the guidelines they pick. So to end it today, I will just say like I did, just if you have to put a mask on certain places. But if you can educate people, around you, then I would say definitely take the time to try to educate them. Print out the guidelines for them and show them the exemptions. And, that way when people do call and complain at their restaurant that they're not being safe, this way they have an opportunity to show them that they're not, they can't say anything. It's not their fault. Somebody has an exemption, that's part of the guidelines. And then another thing is on the playbook. I printed out page 29 on the playbook, the COVID playbook. And the playbook even says they're not supposed to approach you for any reason. So, and that, again, what that does is give the employees and the manager and the owner of the business a way to deflect the insanity of the people who are mask holes, and to give them a credible reason why they're not harassing people like myself that don't wear masks. So everyone, just keep your thinking caps on. I'm going to have my birth certificate show expose, whatever, my little 2 thoughts on the birth certificate coming up. I recorded it already for an hour and 10 minutes and the audio didn't work. What am I going to do? So, trying to find a little bit better way to do it. But anyway, everybody keep your thinking caps on. Dude man says, what's up? What's up, dude? And we'll see you guys in a little bit.